Hello, I'm Tomasz from Polygon Flow. Today I want to test how my PC performs when I push the dash scatter tools quite hard, and also see how suitable dash is for covering very large scenes quickly. By the end of the video, you will know everything you need to create a playable, diverse procedural world in just minutes. So let's get started. First, I'm starting with an empty scene. The only things here are a landscape, a water plane, and ultra-dynamic sky. So here I can open the dash bar. To start, let's scatter a few assets using the Surface Scatter tool. Here in the Scatter section, I can add assets to the tool. Of course, I could just drag assets in from the content drawer, select them, and add them to start scattering, but there's a much better workflow. So I go to the content browser. Here, Dash gives me quick access to multiple content libraries. For now, I'll switch to the project library, where I can access assets from my own project and also assign search tags to them after computing. If you want a full guide on the content browser, check the video in the description. Let's start with something simple and see how the scene performs. Let's scatter some rocks across the landscape. I hold Ctrl and drag them in, click scatter here, and instantly I get rocks scattered on my large landscape. Even at higher densities, the FPS stays relatively stable. Now let's push it further. I will raise the density and also increase the max count. The scene is still holding up fairly well. If I enable nanite on these rocks by selecting them and then running the nanite command in the dash bar, the performance improves even more. Nanite is great at handling large numbers of high polystatic meshes, and rocks are the perfect use case for it. So rocks are clearly not a big problem. But now let's move on to something heavier. I will scatter a few bushes the same way. Right away you can see the bigger performance hit. The FPS drops more compared to rocks. The main reason is foliage complexity. Bushes usually have lots of leaf cards with masked materials. That creates overdraw, meaning many pixels get rendered multiple times. That's much more expensive for the GPU. If I enable nanite on the bushes, we do gain some performance back, but foliage is still generally heavier than solid meshes. Nanite helps, but it doesn't completely remove the cost of transparency and overdraw. And now let's push it even further. I will add more nanite rocks again and mix them with foliage, grass, bushes and trees together. Even with a large covered area, the scene stays surprisingly stable. And remember, Dash is scattering instances, which is highly optimized in Unreal. Scenes built with Dash are fully compatible with standard Unreal workflows. Even someone without Dash can open this project, because Dash is just streamlining native Unreal tools, not replacing them. Now I will delete everything and show how quickly we can build a nice looking procedural world. Let's start with the trees. I scatter a few and use feature masking so they don't appear in the water, on the shore, or on mountain tops. With the minimum and maximum height masks, I can control exactly where the scattering happens vertically. Using a noise mask, I can create natural looking clearings. And with Surface Align in the rotation settings, I can keep the trees upright. Let's repeat the same for bushes and grass. I can even link the masks together using references so that one value can control multiple scatters. On the trees I set up earlier, I scroll down to the feature masking section, open the options, and convert the values into references. I can then reference these in other scatters. Then I can fine-tune each one with weight values, for example allowing bushes near the shore while keeping the trees farther away. And if I add my tools to the compound tool, I can edit several scatters at once. Next I scatter some rocks. They overlap with the bushes and trees, but that's where proximity masking helps. I select the bushes, pin the tool so it doesn't switch, and choose the scatter rocks as a proximity mask. By adjusting the distance, I clear the vegetation around rocks. I can save this as a reference and reuse it for trees too. Now let's divide the world into biomes. First, I create a small path. Using the Draw Curve tool in the Create menu, I draw a curve across the landscape. This curve can act as a proximity mask. Our main proximity object slot is already occupied, but luckily in the proximity table section we can add as many assets as we want. I add the curve to the proximity table and set the distance to clear assets near the path. Then I drag wooden fences onto the curve and scatter them along the spline. Using parallel width, I double it and form both sides of the road. And with the projection set to the landscape, the fence follows the terrain. We can even use the fence itself as a proximity mask, for example, to make certain flowers grow only near it. Right now, we can see from the FPS counter that we are using a lot of resources, and the main reason for that is that I have scattered a lot of assets over my full landscape. But in many games and art environments, it makes sense to only have this much detail in smaller sections or biomes. And for that, I got a really good trick for you. If you use the Draw Curve tool again, to draw one or several areas on your landscape. You can then set these to the object mask of your surface scatters. Enable Keep Inside and Optimize for Curves. This will make sure your scatters only remain inside these curve areas and with really good performance. And another bonus of using this mask compared to other masks is that you will be able to have really thick density, perfect for grass or foliage. And you can of course also combine this with other masks within your curve area to get the details just right. If you need to move these areas or make other large changes to the landscape, the editor's performance can take a hit when you have this many procedural scatters. If this is the case, you can select your landscape and run the freeze command in Dash. This will freeze all the tools connected to your landscape, so you can make your changes without the Dash tools updating. Then when you are done, select your landscape again, run the unfreeze command, and you will see the Dash tools update to your changes. So now you have seen some of the limits and strengths of Dash. My PC is pretty beefy, but you only need a decent PC to use Dash on large landscapes. But keep in mind that the performance depends a lot on the landscape size and your density values. If you mainly use Dash to create biomes or detailing parts of your environments, most PCs that run UE5 will work just fine with Dash, and you will be able to capture the main value and benefit of Dash's procedural tools. Dash makes world building faster, more visual and more flexible, perfect for prototyping and even production level scenes. Make sure to give the free trial a spin if you are interested. Thank you for watching and see you in the next one.